If you could have a user's guide to your brain, would you use it? Rick Hanson, neurophysiologist and author of Buddha's Brain, has written just such a guide. It explains in simple and compassionate terms how our brains are naturally wired and some of the simple things we can do to begin programming them from negativity to peace and contentment. And we can all do it.
For example, just as information flows through the nervous system, because that's what the mind is, what that does is literally change the brain in a variety of ways. For example, parts of the brain that are more active have more blood flow. Synapses that fire or neurons that fire frequently become more sensitive to stimulation. There's a famous saying in neurology, neurons that fire together, wire together. And it's pretty mechanical at a basic level. In other words, the more neurons that are firing, and the longer they're firing, and the more intensively they're firing, the better they get in terms of wiring together. Lots of really fun studies show this sort of thing. One of my favorite are taxi cab drivers in London. So
yes.
You have to memorize the twisty, turny streets there. Their hippocampus, a part of the brain that's involved in visual spatial memory, is thicker, literally measurably thicker at the end of their training than it was at the beginning of their training, because all that mental activity of memorizing streets has actually forged new neural structures. Now, a lot of us are not going to drive a cab in London, so bringing it more to home. Interesting studies of long-term meditators. For example, it looks very clear that two parts of the brain in particular get measurably thicker and strengthened, as it were, by frequent use. One part is called the insula. That's a part of the brain that tracks the internal state of the body, which kind of makes sense. If you're following your breath or doing some kind of contemplative practice, you're going to build out that part of your brain. The insula, though, also, really importantly, does empathy. It does a huge component of empathy, which is the simulation or tracking or resonance with the emotions of other people. We have these three, more or less, systems in the brain that track either the actions of other people or the emotions of other people or the thought processes of other people. All are really important, but obviously empathy is really central.
This is a great hands-on approach to using our brains for better personal outcomes in life. For the full interview, you can go to ConsciousMediaNetwork.com.